Well, it looks like this battle with the FTC and Activision and Microsoft might not be as over as we thought earlier this week, as the FTC has decided to file an appeal against the decision made by Judge Corley earlier this week to have the merger deal close. This also has a this also has a sub consequence of Activision Blizzard leaving the stock market, which we will talk about in today's podcast. Let's start with the FTC filing appeal though, because this is the first article of the day, and it comes to us from IGN, and it says breaking: the FTC appeals decision in recent trial against Xbox. The FTC appeal in Activision merger case following verdict denying preliminary injunction. This was written by Kat Bailey, Taylor Lyles on July 12, 2023 at 9:53 p.m. Let's have a read. The Federal Trade Commission (FTC) has filed an appeal challenging the recent verdict from the United States District Court for the Northern California District. The trial, in which Jacqueline Scott Corley ruled in favor of Microsoft, was held last month. Judge Corley issued a decision late earlier this week denying the FTC's request for a preliminary injunction regarding Microsoft's proposed acquisition of Activision Blizzard, noting that the FTC, among other things, failed to prove that the deal would be anti-competitive, which was their main argument for this week. Regarding to the appeal, an Activision Blizzard spokesperson told IGN the facts haven't changed. We're confident that the US will remain among the 39 countries where the merger can close. We look forward to reinforcing the strength of our case in court again. Specifically, Judge Corley wrote in her decision that the FTC has not identified a single document which contradicts Microsoft's publicly stated commitment to make Call of Duty available on PlayStation and Nintendo Switch. End of quote. Let's continue. The appeal is not surprising, as the Federal Trade Commission has expressed its disappointment in the discussion, and a report from Bloomberg a day after the verdict was revealed that the agency was, quote, leaning toward filing an appeal. This one has retyped, so we're going to continue. In a separate statement, Microsoft President Brad Smith said, quote, the district court's ruling makes crystal clear that this acquisition is good for both competition and consumers. We're disappointed that the FTC is continuing to pursue what has become a demonstrably weak case, and we will oppose further efforts to delay the ability to move forward. End quote. The appeal will attempt to win a preliminary injunction blocking the Activision Blizzard merger with Xbox ahead of a scheduled trial in August, which I might cover. The deal is currently scheduled to be completed on July 18, which is this week. Yeah, this is this week, next week. If the deal is not completed by that date, Xbox will be forced to pay $3 billion to Activision Blizzard, and the merger will be potentially be reopened to renegotiation. We recently spoke to an analyst who expressed confidence that the deal will go through. However, the FTC still has a few more options at its disposal, including said appeal. Elsewhere, Xbox is in the process of appealing the UK's Competition and Markets Authority's decision to block the Activision Blizzard deal earlier this year. That was in April. Should the $68.7 billion deal go through, it would give Xbox ownership of multiple enormous franchises, including Call of Duty, World of Warcraft, and more. And that's the end of the first article of today. So as you can clearly see, the FTC is going to go for this appeal, and looks like we may have more reading to do in the very near future. So stay tuned for that. But as a little bit of a sub consequence of this initial win from Microsoft, Activision Blizzard is set to leave the stock market, and we can read that by looking at this article by Eurogamer. This is the second article with the same commentary, so this is not over yet. We're gonna read this one right now. Activision Blizzard set to leave stock exchange top 100 index following court ruling, suggesting confidence Microsoft deal would succeed. And this was written by Victoria Kennedy on July 13, 2013, which is today. Let's have a read. Activision Blizzard is set to leave the U.S. Stock Exchange Top 100 Index this weekend. The move comes just days after Microsoft won its case against the U.S. Federal Trade Commission (FTC) in its ongoing bid to buy Call of Duty maker, something the FTC has said it will appeal, which we just read they will appeal. American-based stock exchange NASDAQ announced that another company would join the NASDAQ 100 index in the coming days, replacing Activision Blizzard in the process. Activision Blizzard will be removed from the NASDAQ 100 ESG index prior to the market opening of this coming Monday, July 17. It will still be listed by NASDAQ and remains tradable, however. So if you have any investments in Activision Blizzard, you're still good. You can still trade, so you're fine there. While nothing has been officially announced, this decision to leave the stock exchange suggests Activision Blizzard and Microsoft are confident that the proposed merger will be successful and potentially completed over the weekend. Outside the FTC's current appeal, something Microsoft has called disappointing, which we've just read, the UK's Competition and Market Authority, CMA, remains the only other regulator to oppose Microsoft's acquisition of Activision Blizzard. Following the court ruling earlier this week, the CMA agreed to pause legal proceedings with Microsoft Activision Blizzard. The UK regulator has now suggested, quote, a new merger investigation, end quote, into Microsoft's proposed acquisition is not out of the question, should the deal be reconstructed. In a statement to Eurogamer, a CMA spokesperson said its discussions with Microsoft are still in, quote, early stages, and the decision to block the deal is set out as a final report earlier this year still stands. The only other major regulator to previously take issue with Microsoft's proposed deal was the EU's European Commission. However, it ultimately gave the deal the go-ahead after deciding it was happy with concessions made by Microsoft for the acquisition to going through. And that is the article for today in terms of Eurogamer. As you can see, that initial win from Microsoft has allowed Activision Blizzard to leave the stock exchange, and they are suggesting that they are doing that in anticipation of the deal going through. But remember, with FTC going for the appeal, this could be all undone. Will Microsoft Activision win this second battle of the case? Well, we're about to find out. July 18 is only a few days away, and July 18 could be a very, very interesting day in the land of Activision and Blizzard and Microsoft. Who are you going for? I really hope for the sake of competition in term of consumer, excuse me, that Microsoft and Activision pulled it out again. If they pulled out this first round, they can do it again the second round. That's going to do it for this particular commentary. If you learned anything new today, hit that like, hit that subscribe button, and subscribe to this channel, the main channel, and to our news channel, RetroYuuki Gaming News. I'll be covering a lot of news stories very soon, especially when it comes to this particular case with FTC and Microsoft and Activision. Who will win round 2? This could determine everything. Subscribe today, and we'll see you guys very soon for another RetroYuuki Gaming News story of the day.